Jiu Jitsu. Look at this bad boy. From Dimitri Logothetis, director of Kickboxer Retaliation. How absurd is this poster, even for a Nick Cage film? Okay, let's try to take it seriously for just a moment. It's a new film starring Alain Moussi, whose career is apparently primarily as a stuntsman. And technically, he's credited as the lead actor here, but I can't call him an actor. I'm just gonna say performer, okay? It also has Tony Jaa, Frank Grillo, and Nicolas Cage. And looking at the poster, I just look at it again. It's glorious. You'd think that Cage is the main character. That is not true. He's only in the film for a total of about 10 minutes, maybe. The main guy is on the bottom right. And I've read that the whole production lasted 6 weeks, and Cage did all of his scenes in the first 3 days and then fucked off home, which is quite hilarious. Now, the film is called Jiu Jitsu, so you would expect that it features a lot of Jiu Jitsu fighting. That is not true. It was pointed out by internet experts that the trailer, which features a lot of fight scenes, didn't have a single Jiu Jitsu move. And I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty sure this is the case with the rest of the film as well. There is gun shooting, there is sword fighting, kicking and boxing, there's even shuriken throwing, but I'm not so sure about jiu-jitsu. So why is it called that? Well, maybe it has to do with the story, so let's take a look at the IMDb official description of the film. Every 6 years, an ancient order of jiu-jitsu fighters join forces to battle a vicious race of alien invaders. But when a celebrated war hero goes down in defeat, the fate of the planet and mankind hangs in the balance. This is not what happens in the movie. I'll try to explain the story, although I don't think that's fully possible. We open with Jake, the main tough guy, running away from something through the jungle, nearly drowning, and then being saved and delivered to an American base in Myanmar. Turns out that he has amnesia and doesn't remember who he is, and apparently, though, he has a connection with some hipster looking ninja dudes who break him out of the base. And he's also apparently supposed to fight a predator knockoff, an alien which is clearly a guy in a cheaply looking rubber suit. He comes to Earth through an ancient portal every 6 years. And by the way, why is it every 6 years? That's such a weird amount of time to pick. Usually, when you want something to be so mystical and rare, you do it every, I don't know, 50 or 100 years. Or you go the other way and you want to have it often. Okay, one at full moon or every once in a year. But once every 6 years, who came up with that? Anyway, Rubber Dude comes through the portal and he wants to fight 9 powerful jiu-jitsu fighters one on one. And again, they're not using jiu-jitsu. And if he doesn't, he will go out in the world and kill random people. Why? What? How? I know you probably have questions. I did as well, and I still have. The movie solves this problem by not answering them. The story is literally filled with holes, and what's interesting is this. Usually, when I say plot hole, I mean that something doesn't make sense, something doesn't fit or add up. That is also happening here, but aside from that, there are holes in a different sense. Things that are simply not discussed in the film. As a result, it's impossible for the movie to make any shred of sense. It just seems like there are chunks of the story missing. So it doesn't make sense either for us as the audience or for the perpetually disoriented protagonist. Of course, there's a myriad of other problems. The costumes look cheap. The performers cannot act. The music is awful. The structure of the film is jumbled and disjointed. We'll get to that. The action is not exciting. The stakes are unclear. The story is impossible to follow. The special effects are awful. The dialogue seems written by someone who never had a conversation in his life. Speaking of the structure, as I said, the movie kind of feels like a fighting video game from 2002. It's split into these chapters, which all start with comic book panels with the title of that chapter, although the film is not based on a comic book, so why this was done, I don't know. You'll then have a short dialogue scene with exposition, and then a 5-minute long fight scene. Quick exposition again, boom, next chapter. Usually in another location with different characters at different time of day to further confuse the audience. These chapters don't really fit with one another, and the movie as a whole evoked a very special feeling from my childhood. I remember one time I was maybe, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old. I was sick. I was lying in bed with a high fever, and I was falling in and out of sleep, partly dreaming, partly hallucinating, in this weird state of unreality, where my brain concocted nonsensical images and things that I experienced that didn't quite make any sense. That is what watching Jiu Jitsu is like. It was like a fever dream of sorts. Now, I will admit, I'll be fair, there are some positives about the film. The performers, I still refuse to call them actors, are clearly quite capable, at least in the physical sense, and some of the fight choreography, some of it, is a little entertaining. There is one sequence, especially near the end, near the beginning, sorry, of the film, with Tony Jaa fighting his way through the American base, which was actually quite cleverly done. It has the camera following him along in a single unbroken shot. That was fun. It also does an admirable job of trying unsuccessfully to hide the low budget and the fact that there's only like 10 extras in the film. Nicolas Cage is fairly entertaining as this older guy rambling on and on with nonsense exposition. And actually, I admire him quite a lot because he was able to say all his lines with a straight face without breaking into laughter, which must have been difficult because his lines, especially, are outrageously stupid. But that's pretty much it, I'm afraid. The movie on the whole is a total dumpster fire. There's no doubt about it. And I have to admit, as I was in the middle of it, I kept asking myself, why did I decide to watch this in the first place? I don't particularly enjoy watching bad movies on purpose, nor am I a Nicolas Cage fan. Why did I do this to myself? I still don't have an answer, but I do have a piece of advice. Don't follow in my footsteps. Don't watch Jiu Jitsu.